right, man. First and foremost, I'd like to give all honor and glory to the Most High God Yahweh in the name of His only begotten Son Yahweh Shai. Welcome back, brothers. To usually we have camp, but since we couldn't go out to have camp this week, we are doing a class. And today's class is titled, "Is it a sin to marry a heathen?" Right? And the reason why I'm teaching this class, Salakia, and not the, you know what I'm saying, and why I'm teaching this class, because I started a quote-unquote uproar on Facebook last night, right? Last night, I kind of turned Facebook upside down by asking this question, and did notice, in fact, y'all probably seen the sound switch. I just plugged in my microphone. Forgive me, brothers. In fact, notice that brothers do not actually listen to the Bible, but listen to their leaders, or they love their over-righteousness. So I did ask the members of my school, as I did Facebook, is it a sin to marry a heathen? Is marrying a heathen a sin? That's the question. So let's start right here. We're going to start at Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 3. Why? Because this is the chapter this is where a lot of these guys like to go. So let's start Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 3. And we're going to paint it first with their brush. Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 3. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. For, you know what I'm saying, when we stop right there. And then these guys are going to stop the recording. See, I cut them, this and that, right? Boom. Don't stop the playback now. Let's keep listening. Now let's jump up to Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 1. Let's deal with the Torah as it is given, as it is rightfully divided. Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 1. When Yahweh thy power shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and hast cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, the Girgashites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. When Yahweh thy power shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them, and shalt make no covenant with them, no sure mercy upon them. Verse 3. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his sons, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son, for they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of Yahweh be kindled against you, and destroy thee suddenly. But thus shall he deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars, and break down their images, and cut down their groves, and burn their graven images with fire. So we see right now that it's you know what I'm saying, that it is a specific people with specific reasons as to why not. So we can't preach every Saturday, oh, why are you with that white woman? You know what I'm saying? When a random person that doesn't know the Torah, when you know the Torah, and misquoting it. You can't say that to brothers when the scriptures say who not to deal with. Now, as brothers that I know personally that do genealogies will tell you, not every white person is an Edomite. Not to say that they're a Jake. They might actually be a Canaanite, and there, in fact, you might be in sin. But we can't say based off of seeing them and thinking they're Edomite, you're sinning, because they're not mentioned in the 7 laws. But let's go here now. Let's go to Malachi chapter 3 and 6. Why do we go there? Because we have to remember the importance of Malachi 3 and 6, and the importance of Hebrew 13 and 1. And we're going to get Salakia. This Bible has the Apocrypha in it, so you know what I mean? I got to cut through the Apocrypha to get to the OT from the New T. This is the book of Salakia. This is the book of Malachi chapter 3 verse 6. For I am Yahweh, I change not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed, right? So the Most High doesn't change. He's always going to choose us. But for the purpose of this class, we see that he doesn't change. What does that mean? Let's go into the book of Deuteronomy. We're going to stay in Deuteronomy. We're going to go to 21, verses 10 through 13. Let's read them we're going to look through a couple different translations to see if it says something more clearly, right? Or matter of fact, let's go to Deuteronomy 7 in the GNT. Let's see what these other translations say when it comes to Let's see what these other translations say when it comes to dealing with such matters. Let's see the dealing of with if it just stops at verse 3, right? This is Deuteronomy chapter 7, verses 1 through 5. And Yahweh, your power will bring you into the land that you are going to occupy, and he will drive many nations out of it as you advance. He will drive out 7 nations larger and more powerful than you: the Hittites, the Girgashites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, right? And the Jebusites. When Yahweh, your power, places these people in your power, you defeat them, you must put them all to death. Do not make an alliance with them or show them any mercy. Verse 3, do not marry any of them, and do not let your children marry any of them, because then they will lead your children away from Yahweh to worship other powers. If that happens, Yahweh will be angry with you and will destroy you once. So then, tear down their altars, break their sacred stone pillars in pieces, cut down their symbols of goddess Asherah, and burn their idols. Right? So we see what's told of us and why in a different translation, right? So it's 7 specific nations that we cannot marry. We cannot say you can't get with a Moabitess. We're not telling you to, but we're not telling you you're sinning if you do, right? Because we're going by what, let's define what a sin is. Let's go to 1 John 3 and 4. This is what I should have did at the beginning. In every class that pertains to the law, I should start doing that. But let's go to 1 John chapter 3 and verse 4, right? Whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is transgression of the law. So what does the law say? Right now it says 7 nations you cannot deal with, right? I read it to you in the King James. I read it to you in the Good News, right? So let's go into Deuteronomy chapter 21. We're going to read verses 10 through 13, and we'll see what it says, right? And we're going to read it in different translations, clearly, right? Because we can't just go through the King James, right? Because some of us need clearer English, right? Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 21, verses 10 through 13 in the KJV. When thou goest forth to war against thine enemies, so your enemies, who are the enemies of Israel? It's you know what I'm saying? It's every nation around us, right? When thou go to war against thine enemies, and Yahweh thy power have delivered them into thy hands, and thou hast taken them captive, and seeing amongst the captives a beautiful woman. So if you see a beautiful woman amongst, we'll say we went to war with Ammonites. I like anime. We went to war with the Ammonites. And amongst these Ammonites, as we're going to war, we're walking through, and one of our brothers in the camp sees a woman that he likes, and he takes her to wife, right? It gives you rules on how to deal with her, right? If he sees a beautiful woman amongst these captives, let's see what happens if you see it. And has a desire unto her, and you want her, thou wouldest have her to thy wife, and you took her as a wife, then shalt bring her home to thy house, and shall shave her head, and pare her nails, and she shall put on the raiment of her captivity from off her, and shall remain in thy house, and bewail her father and her mother a full month. And after that shall go in unto her, and be her husband, and she shall be thy wife. And verse 14, and it shall be, if thou have no delight in her, then thou shalt go and let her go whither she will. But thou shalt not sell her at all for money. Thou shalt make thou shalt not make merchandise of her, because thou hast humbled her. So once you take her in, you can't even make her a slave like a regular slave. You divorce her, you just let her go on her way, right? But let's read it in the NSRV, right? The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 21, verse 10, in the NSRV. When thou go out to war against your enemies, and Yahweh your power hands them over to you, and you take them captive. So you went to war with the evil. Obviously, the tribe of Benjamin is not going to war with the tribe of Zebulun, and Benjamite women are just going into captivity with Zebulunites. Come on, man. Especially in the time of the Torah. Verse 11. Suppose you see among the captives a beautiful woman who you desire and want to marry. And so you bring her home to your house, and she shall shave her head, pare her nails, discard her captive's garb, and shall remain in your house a full month, mourning for her father and mother. After that, you may go into her and be her husband, and she shall be your wife. Simple as that. She mourns her family because you went to war. You probably done killed her dad and everybody in there when you was going to war, if you did that, right? You know what I'm saying? So she's gonna mourn the separation of her parents, but she's gonna take off that clothes that she came in as a captive. She's gonna put on good clothes. And let's see if you want to divorce her, right? Verse 14. But if you are not satisfied with her, you shall let her go free and not sell her for money. You must not treat her as a slave, since you have dishonored her. Right? So even when you deal with the heathen woman, you can still dishonor this woman, right? See how you can't sell her as a slave. You gotta deal with her in a particular light, right? You gotta deal with her as she has been dealt with, right? Salakia. Let's see if Moses. Let's go to first Salakia. Let's go to Exodus chapter 2. And let's see when we're talking about Moses, because Moses had a Midianite wife, right? An Egyptian wife, I believe, as well. But we're going to focus on Moses, not necessarily the name, but the ethnicity of his wives as well, right? This is Exodus chapter 2, verse 21. Salakia, 21. And Adam gave. Oh, this is Genesis. Salakia. I'm over here in Genesis, wrong book. Salakia, brethren. No wonder it wasn't underlined. Oh, this is the book of Exodus, chapter 2. We'll start at verse 20. And he said unto his daughters, let's start at about verse 19. And they said, an Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds, and also drew water enough for us, and watered the flock. And he said unto his daughters, and where is he? Why is it that ye have left the man? Call him, that he may eat bread. And Moses was content to dwell with the man, and he gave Moses Zipporah his daughter, and she bore him a son, and called his name Gershom. I have been a stranger in a strange land. Right? So Moses was a stranger in a strange land. So those were his people, right? Let me see where it says. We'll read verse 15 real fast. Now when Pharaoh heard of this thing, he sought to slay Moses, but Moses fled from the face of Pharaoh and dwelt in the land of Midian, and sat down by the land to dwell. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water and filled the troughs of water, their father's flock, and the shepherds came down and drove them away. But Moses stood up and helped them. So Moses took a wife in Zipporah, a Midianite woman, right? So she was a heathen. Let's see, right? Oh, and we could prove that. Let's go to Numbers 31, verse 7. Let's see. And remember, with the law of Exodus 21. Now let's go to Numbers 31 and 7. Let's go to Numbers 31 and 7. Salakia. Let's go to Numbers 31, verse 7. Numbers chapter 31 and verse 6. And Moses sent them to war, thousands, every tribe, them and Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the priest, to war with the holy instruments and trumps, and blew in his hand. Verse 7. And they warred against the Midianites, as Yahweh commanded Moses, and they slew all the males, and they slew the kings of Midian, beside the rest of them that were slain, namely Evi, Rechem, Zur, and Hur, and Reba, 5 kings of Midian. Balaam, also the son of Beor, they slew with the sword. Now when we go back to Deuteronomy chapter 21, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 21, and we'll read verse 10. When thou goest forth when thou goest forth to war against thy enemies, and Yahweh thy power have delivered them into thy hands, and thou hast taken them captive, and seen amongst the captives a beautiful woman, and hast a desire unto her, that thou wouldest have her to thy wife, then thou shalt bring her home to thy house, and shalt shave her head, and pare her nails, and she shall put her raiment off her captivity from off her, and shall remain in thy house, and bewail her father and her mother a full month, and after that shall go in unto her, and be her husband, and she shall be thy wife. So Moses, the man that brought the law, took a wife from people they went to war and kept the law verbatim, right? Let me see, verse 15. Verse 15, we're going to go to verse 15 in the same one, right? We'll jump down to verse 15 in Numbers 31, verse 15. Oh, matter of fact, we'll keep going. Verse 9. And the children of Israel took all the women of Midian captives and their little ones, and took the spoil of all their cattle and all their flocks and all their goods. And they burnt all their cities wherein they dwelt, and all their goodly castles with fire. And they took all the spoil and all the prey, both men and of beasts. And they brought the captives and the prey and spoil unto Moses and Eleazar the priest, and unto the congregation of the children of Israel, unto the camp and the plains of Moab, which are by Jordan near Jericho. Verse 13, and Moses and Eleazar the priest and all the princes of the congregation went forth to meet with them without the camp. And Moses was wroth with the officers of the host, and with the captains over the thousands, and the captains over hundreds, which came from the battle. Verse 15, and Moses said unto them, have ye saved all the women alive? Verse 16, behold, these caused the children of Israel through the counsel of Balaam to commit trespass against Yahweh in the matter of Peor. And there was a plague among the congregation of Yahweh. Verse 17, now therefore kill every male among the little ones, and kill every woman that have known man by lying with them. See, so all the women that are already had a husband, they were being offed. Verse 18, but all the women children that have not known a man by laying with him, keep alive for yourselves. And do ye abide. You say, so why would Moses say that if it's a sin to deal with heathens? That's another question y'all got to answer. Why, if it's a sin to deal with heathens, is that what happened, right? And that's what was given unto us, right? Let's go Salakia. Let's go into Ruth, right? Because now let's see how Moses is viewed through all of this, through everything that we read with Moses. Moses got but let's see if Canaan is repeated, right? Oh, let me see, 24:30. Let's go to Genesis 24:37. Before the law was written, when the law was an oral thing, right? Let's see. Let me find it. There's Genesis 24 and my bad. It's Genesis 24 and 23. Genesis 24 and 23. And 3. And I will make thee swear by the Lord, the power of heaven, by Yahweh, the power of heaven, and the power of earth, that thou shalt not take a wife unto my son of the daughters of the Canaanites among whom I dwell. Right? So Isaac was told not to do that, right? Salakia. Now let's see if he gave Jacob the same thing. Let's see, Salakia. Let's go to Genesis 28 and 1. Genesis 28 and 1. Let's see if the Most High had given this command again. Genesis 28 and 1. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 28, verse 1. And I called Jacob and blessed him and charged him and said unto him, thou shalt not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan. So the seventh, it goes back to specific people, right? Because if it's telling you, you know what I'm saying, not to do it anywhere, but it's telling you not to take these women, you know what I'm saying? Salakila, I gotta put this in my files. You know what I'm saying? We got to understand that these, and it's very important, right? It's very important that we understand the law, because it's a sin, and I'm going to go into something at the very end of this lesson that brothers keep doing, and they're not, and it's not even that they're not aware of, they disregard it. You know what I mean? Because we can't sit here and profess to know Torah, know the law of the Most High God, and we're not keeping it, right? We're actually doing what the law says not to do, right? So we see Isaac was told by Abraham, and Isaac told Jacob not to take a daughter of the land of Canaan, right? But let's see, after Moses took a Midianite, and I think, let me find his Egyptian wife. Is it Ethiopian or Egyptian? Yeah, it is. Oh, boom, here we go. This is Salakia. I'm looking for the scripture that they're not giving me. I'm looking for something different. I'm looking for, it says, okay, so I'm looking for Judges 4:11. Let me see Judges 4:11. We have one. Let's go to Judges chapter 4, verse 11. I have these notes, and I always tend to. Oh, let me see. Genesis, Judges chapter 4, verse 11. Now Heber the Kenite, which was of the children of Joab, the father-in-law of Moses. Look, you see that? The father-in-law of Moses. So Moses married a Kenite, right? Had severed himself from the Kenites and pitched his tent in the plain unto the plain of Zanim, which is by Kadesh. So we see examples of Moses's his people, right? You know what I'm saying? We see Moses married a Kenite, married a Midianite. You know what I'm saying? So we know Moses was a heathen hunter, as I joke with some Jakes I know. You know what I'm saying? A heathen hunter. Let me see something. 29. So we established. Let's go to Numbers chapter 10, verse 29. And Moses said unto Hobab, the son of Raguel, the Midianite, Moses' father-in-law, we are journeying unto a place of which Yahweh said, I will give to you. Come thou with us, and we will do thee good, for Yahweh hath spoken concerning Israel. You know what I'm saying? So we see that Moses had let's go to Numbers. Oh, yeah, a couple chapters over. Let's go to Numbers chapter 12, verse 1. Let's see. If it's really a sin, then you have to explain this. Numbers chapter 12, verse 1. And Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married, for he had married an Ethiopian woman. And he said, hath Yahweh indeed spoken only by Moses? Hath he not spoken also by us? And Yahweh heard it. Now the man Moses was very meek above all the men which were upon the face of the earth. And Yahweh spoke suddenly unto Moses and unto Aaron and unto Miriam, Come out ye three out of the tabernacle of the congregation. And they three came out. And Yahweh came down in the pillar of the cloud and stood in the door of the tabernacle and called Aaron and Miriam. And they both came forth. And he said, Hear now my words. if there be a prophet among you, I, Yahweh, will make myself known unto him in a vision, and I will speak unto him in a dream. My servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all my house. With him I will speak mouth to mouth, even apparently not in dark speeches, and in similitude of Yahweh shall he hold. Wherefore then were ye not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? And the anger of Yahweh was kindled against them, and he departed. And the cloud departed from off the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam was leprous, white as snow. So we're also going to break down what leprosy is too. White as snow, and Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. And Aaron said unto Moses, Alas, my Lord, I beseech thee, I lay not sin upon us, wherein we have done foolishly, and wherein we have sinned. Let her not be as one of the dead whom the flesh hath consumed, and he hath cometh out of his mother's womb. And Moses cried unto Yahweh, saying, Heal her now, O power, I beseech thee. And Yahweh said unto Moses, If her father had but spat in her face, should she not be ashamed 7 days? Let her be shut out from the camp 7 days, and after that let her be received in again. And Miriam was shut out of the camp 7 days, and the people journeyed not till Miriam was brought in again. And afterward the people removed Hazeroth and pitched in the wilderness of Paran. So if it was a sin, why did the Most High side with Moses in this scenario, right? But let's see how we as the children of Israel remember Moses. Let's go to 1 Chronicles 23 and 14. We only got a couple left, man. I know what I've been going on. Let's go to 1 Chronicles chapter 23, verse 14, right? Went too far. 1 Chronicles chapter 23 and verse 14. Now concerning Moses, the man of God. Now concerning Moses, the man of God, his servant, man of God, his sons were named of the tribe of Levi. So Moses, not only were his sons included in the tribe of Levi, not only that, but let's keep it a buck, he also called Moses the man of God. Well, let's go to Matthew chapter 1, because something that the brother Ashar Rakah had brought up, you know what I'm saying, Yahushai's lineage, right? Well, let's see if Yahushai is a product of sins. Well, let's see who Yahushua is a product of. I should say, not a product of sin. So, let me not say it like that. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 1 from the top. The book of the generation of, and we're going to read it verbatim, and the book of the generation of Jesus Christ, or Yahushua HaMashiach, the son of David, the son of Abraham, right? So let's jump down to, where was I at? Let's jump down to verses 5 and 6, right? Verse 5. And Solomon begot Boaz of Rechab, and Boaz begot Obed of Ruth, and Obed begat Jesse. Right? So this is the generation of Christ. So now let's see who Ruth is, because he goes back to Obed and Ruth did there, right? So let's go first to Ruth chapter 1. Verses 1 through 4. Let's go to Ruth chapter 1, verses 1 through 4. Right, I got to get all this knowledge out, guys. Let's go to Ruth chapter 1, verses 1 through 4. This is Ruth from the top. This is Ruth chapter 1 from the top. Now it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled that there was a famine in the land, and a certain man of Bethlehem, Judah, went to sojourn in the country of Moab, he and his wife and his 2 sons. And the name of the man was Elimelech, and the name of his wife Noemi, and the name of his 2 sons Mahalan and Chilion, Ephraimites of Bethlehem, Judah. And they came into the country of Moab and continued there. So we're seeing that they're in Moab. They're in the land of Moab, right? Him and his family, right? Verse 3, and Elikim, Noemi's husband, died, and she was left and her 2 sons. Verse 4, and they took them wives of the women of Moab. They took them wives of the women of Moab. The name of one was Orpah, and the name of the other Ruth. And they dwelt there about 10 years. And Mahalan, Chilion, died also, both of them. And the woman was left with her 2 sons and her husband. You know what I'm saying? So we see that Ruth is a Moabitess, right? Well, let's jump down to let's go to Ruth chapter 4 verse 10. Let's substantiate some more of the Moabiteness, right? Ruth chapter 4 verse 10. Verse 10. Moreover, Ruth, the Moabitess, the wife of Mahalan, have I purchased to be my wife, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance, that the name of the dead cannot be cut off from among his brethren and from the gate of his place. Ye are the witnesses this day. So Boaz took her as a wife, right? Boaz took her as a wife. And he took a Moabitess as a wife. Let's go now to finish off 1 Kings chapter 11, verses 1 through 3. Well, we got one after that, but this has to be something that needs to be dealt with. And I'm not even sure if I dealt with it right beforehand or not, but we're going to deal with it again one more time if I did. Let's go to 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 1 through 3. Oh, snaps. Kings is before Chronicles. 1 Kings chapter 11, because this is where everybody goes. And we're going to start at the top, right? But King Solomon loved many strange women. Remember that, many strange women. This is where they like to go. Together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites. Let's remember, and Hittites, of the nations concerning which Yahweh said to the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither thou shalt come in unto you, for they shall turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon cleaved unto these loves, and he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. Turned away his heart. We're going to read forward for a little more gravy on top, right? A little more salsa to give you some more flavor. Verse 4, for it came to pass when Solomon was old that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with Yahweh his power, as was the heart of David his father. For Solomon went after Asheroth, the goddess of the Zidonians, after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. And Solomon did evil in the sight of Yahweh, and not fully after Yahweh, as David his father. You know what I'm saying? So we see that. Now let's go back to finish out Deuteronomy chapter 7. We're going to read, remember, it says those that the Most High told you not to deal with, starting with the Hittites, right? Matter of fact, let's go into it. We're going to read it in the Good News translation again. Let's go to Deuteronomy 7 and 1 in the Good News translation, right? Deuteronomy 7 is the most horrendously botched scripture in the Bible because brothers love their own over righteousness. You know what I'm saying? They're the brothers that are on the streets telling brothers that are randomly walking by, where your fringes at? Jakes don't even know they're Israelites yet, but you're asking about fringes. This is the type of people you can expect to only read verse 3. But let's read Deuteronomy chapter 7 from the top. Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 1. Yahweh your power will bring you into the land that you are going in to occupy, and he will drive out many nations out of you. As you advance, he will drive out 7 nations larger and more powerful than you. The Hittites. Let's go back to 1 Kings 11 and 1. What does it say at the very beginning, right? Let's see who we're going to do a comparative text. Let's do comparative text real fast, right? So it says 7 nations stronger and larger than, more powerful than you, the Hittites, right? Verse 1. But King Solomon loved many strange women together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, the Ammonites, the Edomites, the Zidonians, and the Hittites of the nation concerning which Yahweh said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither they shall come into you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Let's remember that. Now let's keep going. The Hittites, the Girgashites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Right? Let's go down, right? Solomon cleaved unto these in love, and he had 700 wives. I just wanted to, oh yeah, verse 5. For Solomon went after Asheroth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites, and Solomon did that in the sight of Yahweh, right? Because brothers are weak and don't know how to hold their own, right? So you know what I'm saying? And when Yahweh, your power, will places these people in your power, and you defeat them, you must put them to death. Do not make an alliance with them or show them any mercy. Do not marry any of them, and do not let your children marry any of them, because then they would lead your children away from Yahweh to worship other gods. And if that happens, Yahweh will be angry with you and destroy you at once. So then tear down their altars, break their sacred stone pillars to pieces, and cut down the symbols of their goddess Asherah, and burn their idols. But did Solomon did that? No. He built, then verse 7, then Solomon, 1 Kings 11 and 7, then Solomon built high places for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, in the hill whereof Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon. And likewise did he all the strange wives which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their gods, right? So what happened? Solomon didn't listen. He sinned by going after first going after that Hittite. After that, he sinned by going into idolatry, right? So that's one commandment he broke. Let's finish it off. Salaki, I know I said I would finish it, but let's go to Exodus chapter 20, verses 1 through 3, and then we'll see what it is that Moses did after he took that Hittite woman, right? This is the book of Exodus chapter 20 from the top. And Yahweh spoke all these words, saying, I am Yahweh, thy power, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. That's sin number 1. Sin number 2, actually. Thou shalt make thee no any graven images or any likeness of anything in heaven above, or that is in earth beneath, or that is in the water underneath, that thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, Yahweh, your power, am a jealous power, visiting iniquity of the father upon the children unto the 3rd and 4th generation of them that hate me, showing mercy unto the thousands that love me and keep my commandments. So we see that. And that was sin number 3. He bowed down himself unto them. He made high places for them, right? He did exactly what Torah said, and that was Solomon's sin. So, is marrying a heathen a sin? Short answer, depends on the heathen. Even shorter answer, not really. Long answer, yes and no. No, because you could deal with a Moabite, an Ammonite, an Edomite, a Zidonian, a Cushite, a Midianite, but you can't deal with them 7 nations, the Hittites, the Girgashites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, the Canaanites, the Jebusites, and the Amorites, right? You can't deal with them. And I'm gonna tell you this: I do believe that they're here in America, and we're not a school where you're like, the so-called black man is a Canaanite. No, but I do believe that some of them Nigerians and West Africans that come here are Canaanites. Some of them are in fact Canaanites. And you know what I'm saying? Not all of them, you know what I'm saying, but because the scripture said they will always be around us and as a thorn in our side, because we didn't destroy them when we were supposed to go into the land. But I do hope this edified everybody. For the brothers on the call, I'll be taking questions. For the brothers listening to the recording, you already know. Text the number in the description, because it is there. Text it. We don't answer the calls to that number. Text that number, or you can email us also in the description, or leave your questions in the comments, and we will get back to them. But with that, we'd like to give all honor and glory to the Most High God Yahweh in the name of His only begotten Son, and we say Shalom.